Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Scott Bakula's proposed comeback, Star Trek United, could tie the years after Star Trek Enterprise to a tragedy mentioned by Captain Jean-Luc Picard Patrick Stewart on Star Trek The Next Generation, created by Star Trek Enterprise writer-producer Michael Sussman. With Scott Bakula, Star Trek United is planned as a political thriller and family drama about President Jonathan Archer and his adult family saving the United Federation of Planets in its perilous early years. Originally, Sussman planned to set Star Trek United on Earth, as Federation headquarters is traditionally located in Paris, France, but switched the location of Federation HQ to Babel when Archer was in office in the late 22nd century. Babel was first mentioned but never seen in Star Trek, the original series. Mike Sussman recently guested on the Sci Fanatics podcast to discuss Star Trek United, and the host, Nick, released a follow-up video with unused footage where he and Sussman talked about Babel's defenses. Mike mentioned that Babel would be defended by space stations, orbital defense platforms, the Salem stations. This prompted Sci Fanatics to delve into Salem stations, something that was mentioned once in Star Trek The Next Generation, but could link Star Trek United to history established in TNG by Captain Picard. Salem stations, specifically Station Salem 1, was a tragic event spoken of by Captain Picard in Star Trek The Next Generation Season 3, Episode 7, The Enemy. Picard described Station Salem 1 as a Pearl Harbor-like attack on the Federation that set the stage for a bloody preamble to war. Nick from Sci Fanatics contacted Mike Sussman and confirmed that Station Salem 1 is one of the Salem stations he referred to that was part of Babel's defense grid, and that the attack on Station Salem 1 could be depicted in Star Trek United if it gets made, although not for a few seasons. Station Salem 1 only had the lone-on-air mention on Star Trek The Next Generation, but deleted dialogue from Star Trek The Next Generation Season 4, Family, would have revealed that an ancestor of Lieutenant Commander Jack R. Crusher Dugworth and Wesley Crusher Will Wheaton died during the attack on Station Salem 1. Star Trek United's time frame deals with an era of the young United Federation of Planets. Very little is known about how the Federation came to be in the late 22nd century, which is part of what makes Scott Bakula's proposed comeback as President Archer so enticing. If Star Trek United's possible later seasons depict the attack on Station Salem 1 and Babel's other defenses, it would not only bring a forgotten bit of Star Trek canon to life, but give it a pivotal payoff as the explanation for why Federation headquarters moved to Earth. It's natural to guess that perhaps the Romulans were behind the attack on Station Salem 1, but Star Trek United would be set after the Romulan War, which established the Romulan neutral zone. The Romulans wouldn't reappear until 2266 in Star Trek, the original series Season 1's Balance of Terror. Of course, Romulans are masters of acting from the shadows, so they could still be the culprits behind the attack on Station Salem 1. Besides the Klingons as the Federation's other great antagonists, Star Trek United could resurrect Star Trek Enterprise's Suliban, Xindi, or create a brand new threat. Michael Sussman chose to set President Archer and the Federation's home base from Earth to Babel when he first pitched Star Trek United, after Secret Hideout and Paramount responded that an Earth setting might be too similar to Star Trek Starfleet Academy. However, it's encouraging how far ahead Sussman is thinking when plotting out Star Trek United, and that Mike is hoping later seasons, if the show happens, could explain why Federation headquarters moves from Babel to Paris, France, on Earth. After all, Earth, located in Sector 001, and the home base of Starfleet, is one of the most heavily defended worlds in the galaxy, and would become a safe haven for Federation headquarters for centuries. Star Trek United's late 22nd century setting would make the United Federation of Planets less than 30 years old, but already on rubbery legs, as the Galactic Alliance faces the possibility of collapse, unless President Archer and his children save it. This is a unique and enticing premise that sets Star Trek United apart from any previous Star Trek TV series. However, Station Salem 1 is an idea Michael Sussman thinks wouldn't happen until Star Trek United runs for a few seasons. Star Trek United Season 1 would be about a different threat to the Federation. Yet, there has never been a Star Trek political thriller, and never about the president of the Federation and his children fighting to save the Galactic Alliance. Although Star Trek United is not yet a real TV show, the potential for revealing the evolution of the Federation after Star Trek Enterprise ends feels limitless, and now, possibly bringing a deep-cut piece of lore mentioned in Star Trek The Next Generation to life only makes us want Scott Bakula's comeback as President Archer more. For decades, the Star Trek universe has built its mythos on hope, the idea that humanity, united and evolved, can reach the stars. But within that optimism lies tragedy, personal losses, failed missions, and forgotten heroes whose sacrifices paved the way for the future. And now, whispers of a new Star Trek project suggest that one of those forgotten heroes, Captain Jonathan Archer, played by Scott Bakula, may finally return. His comeback, however, may not be the triumphant homecoming fans imagine. It could be tied to a dark, untold tragedy that connects the Enterprise era to Star Trek, Picard, and the moral consequences of how Starfleet survived its darkest century. When Star Trek Enterprise ended in 2005, fans were left with more questions than answers. The finale, These Are the Voyages, controversially used a next-generation holodeck framing, leaving Captain Archer's story unfinished. His crew disbanded, his ship decommissioned, and his future unseen. Yet hints across later canon, in novels, logs, and even offhand references in Star Trek, Discovery, and Picard suggest Archer's legacy ran deeper than anyone realized. Now, decades later in Picard's timeline, Starfleet stands at a moral crossroads once again. Synthetic life, artificial intelligence, and the ethics of control have defined its new challenges. What if Archer's era, long before android rights, Borg redemption, or Romulan refugee crises, set in motion the very tragedies Picard is trying to prevent? The theory emerging from recent Star Trek creative leaks is tantalizing. Archer may have been the first to uncover a Starfleet experiment so morally gray it was erased from the record, one that resurfaces in Picard's era as the Federation's greatest shame. Imagine this. After the formation of the Federation, Archer was appointed its first president, a canon fact. But in his later years, during the fragile days of unity between Earth, Vulcan, Andoria, and Teller, threats loomed. The Romulans were expanding. Warp 5 ships were slow. The Federation was desperate to secure its future. That's when Starfleet authorized Project Exodus, a classified initiative to experiment with proto-synthetic hybrid crews, part human, part machine, designed for deep space endurance and zero-failure missions. Archer, ever the idealist, initially supported the concept, believing it would save countless lives. But when he learned that these crewmen were not volunteers, that they were grown, not born, his conscience fractured. The project was buried, its record sealed under what would later become Section 31's first directive. Archer's final mission aboard the NX-01, decades after its supposed decommissioning, was to destroy the facility where these hybrid beings were created, a facility hidden in a nebula that would, centuries later, become the site of Picard's discovery of the Synth Rebellion. In this untold story, Archer's last act mirrors Picard's, a man standing against his own institution to preserve the soul of Starfleet. The NX-01 was lost with all hands, reported as a warp core malfunction. But the truth, that Archer destroyed the project to prevent Starfleet from becoming something monstrous, was buried by those who profited from the experiment's survival. Centuries later, when Admiral Picard investigates the origins of synthetic life bands and hidden experiments, a data fragment surfaces, an encrypted log marked NX-01, Captain J. Archer. In that fragmented transmission, an aged Archer confesses. It's a chilling message, one that would link Enterprise directly to Picard, recontextualizing both captains as moral sentinels across time, bound by the same tragic lesson. That progress without compassion leads only to ruin. Scott Bakula's rumored return to Star Trek has fans both excited and cautious. After all, Enterprise ended on a divisive note. But imagine a limited Star Trek special, something akin to Picard. Legacy, where Bakula's Archer appears, not as a resurrected hero, but as a posthumous echo. His holographic log, reconstructed by Starfleet historians or even by a future data-type android, could reveal the Federation's original sin. Such a story wouldn't just bring Archer back. It would finally redeem his legacy. In his time, Archer was humanity's first great explorer, but he was also naive. He believed the Federation would always act for the greater good. Picard shows us the harsh truth. Even the most noble institutions can lose their way. Connecting those two eras would create one of Star Trek's most powerful arcs, a moral continuum stretching from the dawn of warp exploration to the twilight of synthetic evolution. Bakula's performance could carry immense emotional weight. His Archer wouldn't just speak to Picard's generation. He'd speak to all of Starfleet's captains who struggled with conscience. Kirk's defiance of orders, Sisko's moral compromises, Janeway's ruthless survival, Burnham's rebellion, and Picard's introspection. Each of them, in some way, followed the same invisible path Archer once walked. What makes this potential tragedy so compelling is that it fits perfectly within Star Trek's moral DNA. The franchise has always explored the price of utopia, what is sacrificed, hidden, or rewritten to maintain it. The temporal Cold War in Enterprise hinted at this. Discovery's Section 31 expanded on it. Picard's synthetic ban exposed it. If Archer's final mission truly uncovered Starfleet's first unethical science program, then it would make him the original whistleblower of the Federation, a man who vanished so that future generations could learn from his failure. His disappearance would no longer be a loose thread. It would be the moral backbone of Star Trek's entire narrative. And imagine the revelation. Perhaps the synths Picard encounters were not the first of their kind. Perhaps their neural architecture was based on 22nd century experiments buried deep in Starfleet archives. That would mean every step of Picard's journey, every android, every ethical dilemma was haunted by Archer's ghost. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay with us.